Hey everyone. Okay, I think we're live now. Let me know down in the comments if we are actually live, because I just talked for the last 20 minutes or so without thinking that it wasn't live. So that was fun. I was talking to myself, it looks like. Let me see here. Where are we at? There's. Okay, can you guys see me? Hopefully you guys can see me now, and hopefully you guys will go through all this again. Well, I guess it's a learning curve. Here you go. Okay, live. All right, we're good. Okay. So thank you so much for everyone coming in to this. Obviously, I just talked for 20 minutes for no reason. Talk to myself. My kids are going to think I'm crazy. All right, but here's what we got. So it's obviously Friday. Bitcoin was down, not down. Bitcoin was actually up today a little bit. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the miners as well. And then we'll talk about Hut 8 providing a response to their short interest from J Capital. And then we'll also take a look at the short interest on all the miners here that we have. And then hopefully this will work properly this time. Wow. Okay. You live and learn. Okay. As always, you guys know this is not financial advice, for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm invested in following coins and companies. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. All right. Lesson learned on this one. Let's get into it here with the Bitcoin and everything else that's going on. So Bitcoin obviously finished out the day a little bit in the green here, which is nice to see. It was up just barely 0.8% on the day, which was nice. Miners also finished up for the most part in the green as well. I was looking at the chart here. We came pretty close on the CME futures here to that 41,000 or 40,400 mark, and I thought we were going to go down, dip below that, get to the 39,000 mark roughly, and clear this or fill this gap here that we have on the CME futures. But that didn't happen today, so I'm hoping it doesn't happen over the weekend. I'm hoping it happens next week sometime, because that would be obviously a good way to fill that gap here. Okay, so that's what we got going on with Bitcoin. As far as the miners are concerned here, miners, for the most part, it seems like some of the smaller macro cap stocks like Argo, Greenwich, and things like that, they actually did a little bit better today than some of the bigger miners here, which is kind of interesting to see as well. So you can see here, Argo was up 6.82, Annie was up 4.52%. Then you got Wolf up 5.34%. Mawson was up 3.56%, while Mara was only up 0.37%. And then you have DMG up 4.6%. CORZ, obviously getting close to getting out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They had a nice day today, up 13.93%. So overall, I mean, this week was definitely rough for all the miners. And we had pretty much 4 days of losses here, I think, on most of these. If we look at them, 4 days of losses. Finally had a little bit of green day on some of these here. So we'll see what next week brings us. And possibly we might be getting close to the bottom on some of these, I think. At least on the RSI, we still have a little bit of ways to go to get to like 30 or below that before we bounce. So we'll see where Bitcoin goes over the weekend, and then we'll see where things go on Monday here. But looking into Hut 8 here, this is a response to the J Capital research. And here's what they had. We are aware of a short report issued on January 18th by J Capital Research, which is a self-proclaimed group of biased activists who clearly disclose that they will profit if a company's share price declines. Hut 8 is reviewing the report and will provide updates as the company deems appropriate. So that's fine there. That's a pretty good statement. Definitely would like to see the company investigate some of those claims that are in that report. And then if we see people leaving the company within the next 12 months, we might know why, right? We don't know really what's going on there right now, but that's kind of what we're going with here. In the meantime, the company's management team and board of directors continue to have confidence in the merger of equals, the strength of the company's balance sheet, and the future success of the organization, and are committed to moving forward as a combined company to drive meaningful growth for shareholders. Of course, they're going to say that. They're not going to say, "Holy cow, what's going on here?" They're going to obviously support what's going on here, and hopefully they've done at least some due diligence in the past before they merged, and maybe now that they have these other accusations, maybe they'll do a little bit more due diligence. And if things need to be corrected, they need to correct them here. Obviously, we've talked about it yesterday. They need to grow. They need to change out a lot of their miners here. They have pretty good plans, I think, going forward with the 4 plants being purchased in Canada. They definitely need to outfit those with newer miners and things like that. So they got their work cut out here, because HODL position is great, but it's not everything. Okay, so that's it for that one. And then let's take a look at the short interest here really quick on the miners. So this goes back all the way to June, I think 14th or something like that, this data. We're looking at the current numbers that we have for, which are at the end of December, December 30th. And then when we compare things going forward, or compare down below a little bit here, we're comparing to the numbers from December 14th. So this is the latest data that I have for all of these, and it's what was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought on this one. But it's basically the latest. Oh, the latest that I have is from Webull. So that's kind of where I'm getting all my short interest from on the numbers for these, and also I'm getting more data now. So it looks like they corrected some things for Bitfarms. I was missing some data for them. I was missing some data for Hut 8 for a while there. So that's all been inputted in here as well. We'll kind of go through that as well. So here you can see the current number of shares shorted here. This is obviously at the end of December here. Marathon has 45.8 million shares. That accounts for about 20% of the shares outstanding right now. Then you got Riot with 34.3 million shares shorted, and that accounts for 16.63%. Then you got TeraWolf at 31.6, which is a lot. That accounts for 13.29% of the company. Then you got, who's next in line? Bitfarms, 23 million shares shorted, and that's only 7.16%, so that's not too bad. This number obviously looks much worse. Bitfarms has quite a bit more shares out, I guess. That's the reason for it. And then the next one at bat here would probably be Cleanspark with 16.3 million, and that's only 8.8% of their shares shorted there. And you can obviously see the rest of them here as well. Now, when we look at the shares shorted value versus market cap, so we're looking at the number of shares times the current stock price, and we're getting a value for the value of the shares shorted. We can see here that Hut 8 is at 64.8 million shares, or value on the shares shorted, and their current market cap is 611 million. And that's data from today, so this should be the most recent data. Marathon, obviously, a huge number there, 739 million shares valued shorted, and they have a 3.5, almost 3.6 billion market cap. Riot with 353 million value on shares shorted with 2.1 billion market cap, and then who else is pretty high here? Cleanspark's kind of up there, 112 million value on the shares shorted compared to their market cap of 1.2 billion. And you can see the list going down here for all of these. And here's the difference from the numbers in middle of December compared to the end of December. So obviously we saw a huge increase here in Hive, it looks like. Hive has had an additional 3.7 million shares shorted during that time frame. So in 2 weeks, that's pretty big. Followed by Cypher, and then we got Riot, and then we would have probably Bitdeer, Bitfarms in there as well, along with Marathon quite up there. And then you go possibly to Cleanspark, I think, as well, and Iris. So some of the big guys are getting definitely shorted more than some of the smaller guys here. So that's that one. And then if we look at all the actual numbers here going back to June, you can see how things were shorted. And obviously, these numbers are kind of small down here because we're dealing with some of the miners that have a lot more shares shorted. So they're looking pretty small, but you can see the figures on them. They were coming down from June all the way through, it looks like, for Argo at least through middle of September, it looks like. And then things started to kind of pick back up a little bit here and then go back down a little bit and then really pick back up here towards the end of the month. Obviously, Argo went up huge in price during that time frame and things like that. A lot of the miners also did. And then we can see Bitdeer here. You can see, that has been increasing as well towards the end of the year. We saw prices of all these miners going up as well. So as a result, people are like, getting a little bit over exuberant on the stock prices of these miners. So let's short them, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing here. So obviously when we had the spot Bitcoin ETF introduced and then nothing really happened, Bitcoin actually went down in price. This was like a perfect storm for short sellers where it just went, rambling down until some of the miners were down 40-50%. So the shorts in this time frame have actually done pretty well, actually very good well. Digital here, you can see that has also been increasing here towards the end of the year. And then we got Bitfarms, huge increase obviously here. They were pretty low in the summer at 6.2 million shares, and that's basically almost quadrupled here, it looks like, to the end of December here. For them, Cypher kind of almost flat a little bit, up definitely from where they were in June, but still kind of up and down here so far. It doesn't look too bad for Cypher. Cleanspark, same thing. They were coming down, obviously, as the prices were going up in the summer time frame, right? We kind of peaked a little bit with the miners in around July sometime, and you saw that obviously having an impact on the shorts there. So the shorts were coming down, prices were going up, and then obviously now we're having shorts going up and prices are going down on that one. Core don't have the data on them, DG don't have the data on them, DMG as well, and then Hive obviously had a pretty big increase here in the end of December compared to where it was. And then we got Hut 8. This was Hut 8 before they merged, right? So that was based on however many shares they had, 200 and some million shares. They merged, and then we have the new numbers here for them. So that's been going up as well for them. Iris Energy as well has been increasing here a little bit, as we can see. And then we got Marathon. Marathon has had a consistent like over 40 million shares shorted here each month here. They kind of peaked, it looks like, in what is this, November with 53.9 million shares. And this was right around before they announced that they are going to be buying the 2 facilities in December. And at that point, it seems like that has actually gone down. So I think some of the fears maybe the shorts had that they weren't going to have the facilities to put the miners in, at least looking at this, the way I'm interpreting it at least on that one. And then we got Mawson is way low down here, but it has increased to 0.37 million shares instead of the 0.08 million shares. And you got Riot. Riot also kind of peaked here a little bit in November, right before the Thanksgiving holiday, and then it continued going down, but now it's going back up. And then we got Sphere, has been increasing quite a bit here. I mean, 0.93 million from where they were at just 0.14 million. That's a huge increase in the number of shares shorted for them. TeraWolf, same thing, huge increase here from excuse me, from where they were at 10.03 million all the way up to here. And then we got Stronghold, and Stronghold's kind of going down actually right now, which is kind of surprising. But they don't also have a lot of shares outstanding, right? If we look at Stronghold, where's Stronghold over here? They are right there. So 392,000 shares being shorted. That accounts for about 4.94% based on what I have for them right now. Okay, and then here's all the data that we look at. We look at shares out, stock price, market cap, and the previous. Previous is obviously, like I said, from 12.15, and the current is from 12.29 numbers. And we look at the market cap percentage of that, dollar amount of that, and the difference from last time. That's how we're tracking all of this stuff. So, kind of interesting to take a look at that. It looks like shorts are definitely on the upside this time around. Miners went up a little bit too much, I think, maybe towards the end of the year. And then, as always, the spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. The link is down in the description for that. And, you know, I think we'll have to see how things progress going forward. We'll see how the weekend goes with Bitcoin. Where will the miners go next week? And then also the spot Bitcoin ETFs. How will those all clear out? We've had obviously a lot of selling with the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Right, they're liquidating Bitcoin. That's obviously driving the price of Bitcoin down, not being great for the miners themselves. So it's kind of where we're at. So I think we'll call it a wrap. We'll do some Q&A now if you guys have any questions. And it should be a pretty good, easy weekend here. So if you got any questions, let me know. I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to increase this so I can see it better. I'm getting old. I'm starting to get blind here. Well, not blind, but distance is starting to impact my vision here. So let me increase my font size a little bit and I can see what you guys are actually writing. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Kevin asks, how can we gain access to your charts? My charts are available through Patreon, which is now, I think, $8 a month right now. If you pay for the full year, you get a 10% discount on that. You also get access to the Discord channel, private server that we have for Patreon members as well. A lot of conversations going on in there for options and MicroStrategy, all that stuff. So you get access to that on that one. Let's see here. Yep, so you guys have already answered his question there. Yes, Jacob also put out a report for Marathon. This was back in, when did they do that? I think it was like around February of last year, I think, that they put out that report. And they had some things in there that I actually agree with, where, you know, they were supposed to get to 23 exahash by the end of 2022. They had miners basically on shelves that weren't getting energized because their hosting partners couldn't get the energy energized or contracts, whatever they needed done. So there's some things in there, and some things were a little off there, I think, as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that Ben Mara report? You're talking about Rex, probably. I watched it here, and I don't know if it's just accounting, the way he's looking at the accounting part of it. You probably would want to have like Anthony Power, or somebody that has an accounting background that would know where, you know, where the money for the deposits, where should those go on the balance sheet on that. I'm not an accountant. I look at numbers here, but Anthony Power would probably be the better one to answer that for you guys, or anybody else that has an accounting background that deals with this stuff. Is Patreon a platform like Discord? Not really. Patreon is more for sharing your work with the community and followers and people that want to support your work. You can provide them with videos there. I provide you guys with the spreadsheets, and that's whenever I finish a video, I upload the spreadsheets at that time. Sometimes I'll upload them a little bit faster, but usually it's just to share content that it's not available to everybody else for them. Do you believe Cypher is a buy? Cypher, my only concern with Cypher is they are growing, but my concern is that Bitfury has a lot of shares in that company right now. That is a concern. If they start selling again, like they sold 10 million shares, when was that? In October, I think it was, September, October, I can't remember exactly. That had a huge, obviously, impact on the stock price of Cypher at that time. I'm concerned that they might do that again. I think their lockup period is ending in January sometime, where they couldn't sell any more until then. I think that's getting close to being ending. So that would be my only concern there. Have you read the short report on HUT? What are your thoughts? Yeah, we talked about HUT 8 yesterday, if you want to watch the video on that one. Cypher buy 7.2x option to add another 8.7. Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. And we talked about Cypher. It's just my only concern is the Bitfury one there. If you're still holding HUT, should we sell and dump into like Bitfarms or Cleanspark? Might be a last ditch effort before having. That's a personal question. I'm not going to be able to answer that. I can only say this: over the last 2 years 2.5 years, I think it's now, I've been tracking these miners and looking at the metrics on all of these guys. HUT has never placed well on like being in the top 5 or top 7, or even sometimes they're in like the top 10 maybe. But other than that, their operations have been pretty abysmal here in 2023. They've had problems with their miners not working at one of the facilities, miners being completely turned off at another facility. So for those reasons, I never got into them. I know they have a huge HODL and a lot of people look at it, but HODL's not everything, right? You want to look at efficiencies. You want to look at uptime, because even if you have great machines and you only operate them at 80% or 90%, it's going to take you longer to pay those things off than somebody that's running close to 100%. So that's kind of the things that I look at on that. How are they growing? What's their balance sheet? Things like that. That's kind of the things I look at. W Song saying buying the dip today. HUT, I did not. I don't know if you're saying that you did. Do you see the miners bottoming out after the ETF approvals? Lots of us got sucked in by the hype. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people that, even in my Discord channel, where they, I think, bought towards the higher price ends on that based on the ETF hype, and it's unfortunate. I started buying the miners, some of you guys may know this, back in early 2022. So right around January, February, I started buying Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and they were like $9 and $5 for Bitfarms. And I didn't know where the bottom was, so I just continued dollar cost averaging in. My now dollar cost average for Cleanspark is right around $3 and something cents, going off the top of my head here. And then Bitfarms is like $1.30 right now. So I've been buying Bitfarms a little bit more here as the price has been coming down. It's just making sense to me, at least right now. So that has helped me tremendously go from $9 and $5 all the way down to like $1.30 and $3. Without averaging in, I'd be at a much worse point, I think. Okay, so that's that one. Mara versus Cleanspark, which is your best pick? Both. I think I like Cleanspark based on their efficiencies a little bit more than I like Marathon, but Marathon obviously has, at least this past year, has done a fantastic job growing. So for that and where they are right now with the hash rate, especially as we get closer to the halving event, I think they're doing a little bit better, obviously with the number of Bitcoins being mined. But as far as efficiencies are concerned, I like Cleanspark a little bit more, but I think they're both fantastic. Definitely with Marathon getting their own facilities, I think they'll have a little bit more control as far as uptime is concerned. So I think that should improve going forward for them. So, and they're both, I think, trying to get to 50 exahash anyway. So I think that those are like possibly the top two here that we're dealing with. IREN is by far the most undervalued right now. I would agree. You get Iris and also possibly Bitfarms right now, being other than maybe CORZ, right? CORZ is in bankruptcy. They're getting out of it, but that's kind of it. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Do you guys have any other questions here? What else do we have here? Bessie, do you think... Oh, I missed that one. Will SDIG survive after the halving? I see their expenses. I don't think. Yeah, that's a Stronghold. Yeah, their expenses, if you look at that, and we can possibly pull this up for you guys. I've talked about this in the past. That is a major concern for me with them going forward. They did obviously a stock reverse split here. And if we look at Stronghold, and this is just looking at their Q3 numbers they provided here. Revenues, you can see the revenues here, total, or cryptocurrency mining was 12.6 million, energy was 1.2, hosting was 3.7, so a total operating revenue of 17 million, right? If you look at fuel and operating maintenance and general and administrative costs in that, you're at 22 million right there. They need to get those costs under control. That's basically 5 million in the hole right there for the quarter. So I'm surprised that they're paying that much for general administrative. Also, it's come down, which is nice to see. It was at 10 million here, down to about 6.5. So they have done some things here to limit that cost. But operating expenses, fuel obviously went up quite a bit there, so it's still lower than where it was in Q4. But yeah, that's a concern for me as well, for Sphere at least, on that one. Okay, let's see, what else do I have here? Do you think we can expect a pre-halving pump for the miners? No, if we go by the previous halving cycle, if you look at the cycle that we had in 2022 where the halving happened in May at that time, the miners were actually going down in price to the halving cycle. So a year out, so basically in 2019 to 2020 to the halving cycle, they were going down in price while Bitcoin was going up just a little bit. It went up to like 20% up from where it was the year prior. And then after the halving event is when we saw the increase about 2 months after that, right? So that's kind of what I'm expecting here, but we'll see. Let's see if you guys have any more questions. Let's see. Sorry, missed on Bitfarms. Are they in trouble? Not that I'm aware of for Bitfarms. I haven't seen anything that they would be in trouble. They have actually a pretty good balance sheet and everything else. They paid down a lot of debt. They were in trouble in 2022, but they've done a lot to pay the debt off. So I don't think there's any really issues with them. And I think that's it. If you guys don't have any other questions, we'll call it a day here, I think. And I want to just say thank you so much for coming in to watch this. Really appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoy these Q&As here and doing the live streams. So let me know if you guys do or if you don't. And I think we'll call it, what do you expect Bitfarms and Cleanspark to be around June? That's hard to say. It all depends where Bitcoin's going to go and also where the network hash rate is going to go. Come having, we may have a little bit of a dip in the hash rate because we talked about some of the older miners, like the 80, 90 terahash miners, are going to be probably getting unplugged at that time. That should lower the hash rate overall. And then also in the summertime, usually companies curtail in Texas, so that should also do a little bit of a decrease in the hash rate. So it's tough to tell. BitBrother just did a 1-for-1. Yeah, I saw that. BitBrother, is that the one that has the tea company right there? Tea company? No, I wouldn't get into that one at all. What else do we have here? How often do I do these? I'm going to try doing these every day. Times may change a little bit depending on how long it takes me to get some of the data. Some of you guys may know I work full time and then I do this in my spare time. So times may change. I'm going to start trying to do these schedules, so you guys will be made aware if I'm doing a live stream, and I'll try to do those like a half an hour before I go live or something like that. So that'll be coming up. Thoughts on Hive long term? Well, I invested in Hive in 2017, 2018, which they were like only one of few miners that were public at that time. I think at that time we only had also Bitfarms getting in there. I think a couple other ones. There wasn't many companies that were actually public at that time. Got into them right around $3 or something like that. They went down all the way to like 8 cents, I think, at one point after the bull market of 2017 and 2018. So I dollar cost averaged into them. Then I didn't sell after, obviously, the bull run of 2021 because people were saying Bitcoin was going to get to 100,000 and we got to 69,000 and we actually went down. So I held on to that whole time thinking it's going to go up higher. I was up like... I put in a couple $1,000s into it. I was up at like 70,000 at one point, I think. And then I sold just recently with like maybe $4,000 in gains on it. So not a heck of a lot here. So for that reason, and the reason I sold them was mainly because I didn't see the growth that I wanted to see from them. They obviously also kind of screwed up a little bit with the Ethereum going to proof of stake. I think they thought it wasn't going to go through and they were kind of guessing it was going to keep going the way it was. I mean, Ethereum was a money printing machine for them. It was just crazy how much money they were making off of that. And then that stopped. And then they kind of stumbled a little bit and they were trying to get their older mines replaced and things like that. And it's just, I didn't see them growing quite as much as I wanted them to see. Kind of like we're seeing with Bitfarms getting to possibly 17 exahash, Cleanspark getting to 32, possibly get to 50 exahash. So I wanted to invest in companies that were really growing at that time frame. So that's what I got out of them. That's the only thing I would say on Hive. They're operationally, they're fantastic as far as uptime and efficiencies. They're always like one of the best ones that I cover here. But the growth is what kind of had me concerned a little bit. Let's see here. Will Bitfarms go back to 3 approximate? Yeah, I think they'll go back. How long, when will that happen? Don't know. Let's see here. Did you hear that Cleanspark said that they would be electrifying the first new miners in Tannersville the first week? Yeah, I heard that. I watched the, the investor conference that they had just recently. Matt Schultz said that the company told them that the first week they're supposed to get energized. So we'll see if it happens. But if it does, getting to 16 exahash is going to be great for them. Let's see here. What else do I have here? How did I break into my wife? That I didn't sell at 70,000 and sold at 4,000. Yeah, she knows it was a learning experience. We'll leave it at that. My thoughts on IREN. I like IREN. IREN, some people are kind of bashing a little bit. They had problems with Iris Energy in, what was it, 2021? No, 2022, where they had to give back a lot of the miners under that special purpose vehicle thing that they did with NYDIG, I think it was. And they had to give back those miners because they weren't profitable. So they gave those back. So I think a lot of people are still a little upset about that. Their hash rate went down because of it, but ever since then, they've been doing a pretty good job here growing their hash rate and going forward. The two things I didn't like was the two brothers selling 1 million shares apiece here just recently. That kind of like right in the back there. So didn't like that. I also don't quite agree with them on the HODL position. They view it as being gold miners, which I think is incorrect. And I've discussed it before. I think miners need to, especially as you're getting close to the halving event, need to HODL a little bit more as you get closer to it, and then sell a little more of it when we start going with Bitcoin getting to new all-time highs. I think that's a proper approach. You don't obviously want to HODL everything, but the way they look at it is they're a miner and they need to sell like gold as a commodity, right? So, but there's a difference between gold and Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gone up tremendously up in value over the last 10, 12 years. What has gold done? Gold is pretty much flat. So it doesn't make any sense for people to hold gold, right? Because you can mine more of it. It's at the same price. If the miners of gold knew that gold was going to be going up 20, 30, 40% in a couple months, I'm sure they would probably hold on to it. So I think that's just a difference in opinions there, but maybe they'll change their mind eventually. But they have been growing nicely here, and I would expect the same thing to continue. They're also pretty efficient as well. But yeah, we'll see. Let's see what else we got here. Can there be a short squeeze on Mara to save my calls? I don't know. That is beyond me. I'm still learning on options and all that stuff. Let's see. What's Mara expiration date? Grant. Nope. Let's see here. Is mining going to be difficult after the halving? Well, it's not going to be difficult. It's just going to be a lot more hard to be profitable at that point. So if you look at the hash rate is obviously going to increase at that time at the halving event. But the big thing is the rewards that the miners get. Right now they're getting basically 900 Bitcoins per day, and that's being split up between all the miners that secure the network. When the halving comes around, you're going to be at 450, so that's half. That's half your revenue just gone right there. So like Marathon was making in December, let's just use Marathon's numbers at 1,800 BTC in December. If we had having in January, they'd be down to 900 BTC at that point, right? So, and then Bitcoin price, depending where that's at, is obviously going to be a huge loss at that point, or huge, not a loss, but it's going to be a huge decrease in the revenue that they have. What's Mara's short interest? We just covered it here a little bit. It's based on my numbers here, and you guys can see it here. There it is. Mara's short interest is 45.8 million shares, 20.59 on that one. And I'm using the numbers from Webull, so if you're asking where that's coming from, that's kind of where I'm getting the data from. Oh. Have I bought any more stocks this current dip? You bought some more Cleanspark. I did buy some more Bitfarms stocks, I think 2 days out of this week here. have to look back at my numbers here. Just a lot of stuff going on, but I did, not that one. What did I want? I wanted this one. I did buy Bitfarms at 230 and at like 260 also. So I'm increasing the position there because I think they're a little bit more undervalued than where Cleanspark is right now. That's why I said if Cleanspark goes down to like 650 or below, I'll probably start buying on that one as well. And then let's see here. What else do I have here? Yes, Wolf Post. Having Wolf, I like Wolf. Wolf, the only thing that concerns me with Wolf is the debt right now on them. Let's see what else do we have here. Lots of Wolf Post having. So the big thing, like I said, is the debt. They're supposed to pay down 40 million of the debt that they have of 140 some million due by April 1st. So that's right around where the halving is going to happen. And then at that point, they're going to have about 100 million left. They need to pay that off by the end of this year. That's going to be tough, right? If your revenue is going to get cut in half at that point, we can see here, well, we can kind of see here. Where's Wolf on that one? Let's see here. TerraWolf, there they are. Okay, screen, here we go. So we covered Wolf in a video here earlier this week, but their revenue recently was 10 million, right? So if that stays the same, they're going to have a revenue of 5 million basically come after the halving, excuse me, after the halving event. If that happens, that's going to be April. So let's just say May. So we're looking at possibly what, 8 months, 9 months before the end of the year at 5 million in revenue. Take away any expenses on that. Let's just say expenses are at 50% of that. So the 2.5 million times 8, you're looking at only 16 million in possible revenue. Obviously, Bitcoin goes up in value. That's going to help out, but the debt is a concern. So they need to get the debt restructured or paid off via dilution. One of those two, but we'll see which way they go. Will Cleanspark see 50 in the next year? Will any see 15 in the next year coming on halving's promise coming through? Is that 50 stock price or 15 exahash for any? I'm guessing any would be $15. Any small miner getting to about 1 point, what is it supposed to get to? 1.5, 1.8. I can't remember exactly what they're supposed to get to now. But they're one of the smaller ones here. They're also in court battles with other companies here. Which miners will survive the halving? The ones that are growing, the most efficient, and the ones that have a good balance sheet. Those are the ones you want to look at. Those are the ones that will survive. Okay, guys. I think we've had enough here for the question part of things. I'm starting to get tired as well. I need to go take a shower and enjoy a movie or something like that. Spend some time with my kids here. So I appreciate you guys coming in to watch this. It's a learning experience. I learned that I need to press the stream button on YouTube now instead of just pressing the button on in my OBS studio. So we'll see what happens over the weekend. We'll see what happens next week. And again, thank you so much for coming in to watch this. Spreadsheets are available to Patreon members. Link is down in the description. And that's it. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next one.